All right. Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk Michigan. Jeff here. Dan, how are you, sir?
Just can't see you. There we go.
Now?
Yeah.
I want to fix yours too. Switch yours back.
You can't see me now?
I cannot see you yet.
How about now?
No. There we go. There we go. We're in business. All right. Welcome back. Jeff here. Dan, what's up, dude?
Oh, just going with the flow, baby. Just going with the flow.
Going with the flow. Yeah. Well, last time we potted, we were talking about how Michigan had a big game against Michigan State. And, we record on Tuesday nights like usual. A big story breaks. I think it was Thursday. It was either Wednesday night or Thursday. We're going to talk a lot of stuff today, but let's just get into the game. Michigan beats Michigan State 49-0. It's an absolute ass beating. It's what we both expected / wanted. Get our first shutout of the year. Give me initial thoughts on the game.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Like I said, this is one of the games that I circle on the calendar in red, and I wish it was 100-0. I despise Michigan State, and watching Ohio State fans' misery is just as enjoyable as kicking these guys' asses. So, I was really, really glad that they kept the shutout there at the end. Looking like Michigan State was kind of driving the ball there, but Michigan shut that shit down. JJ had a day. The tight ends were unstoppable, up the seam, over your head, didn't matter. Mikey Sanderson, another pick six. Jaden McBurrows, who was one of the tunnel incident victims last year, he got his revenge essentially with his own interception.
Yep.
So just all around, just fantastic. I thought it was kind of hilarious that Michigan State was trotting Caden Hauser to and from the sideline from a guy in a high-vis jacket to get the signals because they didn't want to get stolen, and they still got their ass kicked. So I'm glad it was 49-0 because I felt like if it was a game that was how like 2016 was, where even though the score indicated it being close, it really wasn't a close game. I think it was like 32-23 or whatever. That style of game being somewhat close on the scoreboard probably would have had like, see, look at that, guys. They don't, they don't have the science here or whatever, so the game's closer, don't blow them out or whatever. So I'm glad it was 49-0.
Yeah. Lots to take away from this game. They started early. It went often. I typically have a rule. I try not to bet on my own team. And a lot of one of the reason is because like if the team wins but your bet doesn't win, you don't, it kind of dampers on it. Or if you bet them and they lose, then you lose money and they lose, so it's kind of like a double whammy. Obviously you were with me that night. I had a $25 parlay on. I needed Blake Corum to score, Roman Wilson to score, Colson Loveland to score, and the defense to score. If you're listening to this, you're like, oh my gosh, all those hit. Yeah, well, unfortunately, I needed Roman Wilson to get 52.5 yards, and he only finished with 50. Was pulled midway through the third quarter. And I drove home sick to my stomach that I missed out on over $600. So try not to. I just don't bet on Michigan. It's for that exact reason. But I was trying to, like, when I was doing that parlay, I was trying to think to myself, how could this game play out? I thought it would be an early established dominance, trying to get Blake going. And then I thought they'd throw it around a little bit. And I thought JJ would get 2 touchdowns. And I picked the 2 that I thought were most popular. And then I was like, late in the game, I think we'll get a defensive score. So that's kind of how the parlay was built. Weirdly, did I know that JJ McCarthy would have arguably his best game ever. Threw 4 touchdowns. That's a career high. Absolutely shredded this defense in every single way physically possible. And the running game was it was good. 34 for 120 and 2 tutties. Can't ask for really more than that. The star of the show was like the tight ends, A.J. Barner and Colson Loveland. And then the defense obviously making their presence known and just absolutely dominating in every phase. They got 3 sacks, couple of picks. housed one. Yeah, I thought this was a huge game. Continue to plug away, continue to assert themselves. I brought up on one of the pods a couple weeks ago that I thought this team is really special and really weird because they almost play better on the road than they do at home. This was another example of that. They just kind of like really embrace the hostile environments, if you will. And kudos to Michigan State. They showed up for this game early. They left early too, but they showed up early. They were ready to go. Unfortunately, there were massive Go Blues chants in the end of the second quarter. So, I mean, it's just, that's what it is. But, yeah, watched this game at your place. We had a good time. Had some pizza, drank some beer, cheered a lot. I mean, it's all you can ask for a rivalry game, right?
Oh, yeah.
Paul Bunyan stays in Ann Arbor. We pick it up. We have all the trophies currently. I don't know if you realize that. I mean, literally, Michigan owns all their rivalry trophies, which is that's huge. Trophy case is full. Big Ten titles, all these different things are coming our way. Could those be full of allegations? We'll talk about that later. But as of now, let's talk about how we win. I had find new ways to win, and in parentheses, tight end dominance. It just seems like the two ways that Michigan has had success over the last couple of years has either been running the ball or defense. Maybe you could say over the top over the last early season. They've had some Roman Wilson dominance and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's either through defense or through running the football. This was completely through the middle, completely scorching the defense of Michigan State. And these tight ends who we were high on all year had an absolute breakout game. I thought that was huge. What did you have for how we win?
Yeah, I wrote down tight ends galore. AJ Barner had his breakout game, probably got utilized more ever in his career than his time at Indiana. Maybe Michigan seeing something on film, whatever, because MSU just look outgunned and outmatched up the seam. It looked like the linebacker that looked more built like a long snapper was guarding either one of these tight ends, and he was getting torched the whole game. And Todd Blackledge, the color of the broadcast here, was making comments about how JJ was putting the ball right behind their helmets, behind their ear. And so nip tuck windows, he was zipping the ball to, and the tight ends were just eating them alive. And should have been 35-0 before halftime, but a pre-snap penalty essentially shut that down. So they had to settle for 28-0. But AJ Barner would have had his second touchdown if that wasn't the case. Held MSU to under 50 yards rushing, 49 to be exact. And then they held the Spartans to 10 first downs. So they didn't let them do much at all, even with the backups in. And I think it was another game where Michigan's playing over 70 of their players. So, I think I can't confirm if I didn't hear from the coach, Harlan Bennett, whatever his name is, from his lips. But it looked like somebody reported online through his press conference that he was pissed that Michigan was running up the score or something like that, or was mad that Alex Orji ran a touchdown in the game. It's like, dude, you literally are being played the third and fourth string guys right now. You can eat shit. So I'm glad they can keep complaining about that. So that's what I got, man. Love the ass kicking.
Yeah. How we lose. There's never been a harder topic when you win 49-0 to find out how we lose. I said 0 fourth quarter experience this year in a pending bye week spells trouble, and I give that quotations because I don't think Michigan's in any trouble. But it is something to keep an eye on. You'd hope that at some point you'd play a fourth quarter, and maybe when we're at Happy Valley here in a couple of weeks, maybe that's the case. But as of right now, 0 fourth quarter snaps for JJ McCarthy is an absolutely insane stat because the next time he takes a snap will be November. What'd you have for how we lose?
Well, real quick, they're playing better in conference play than they did in the first 4 games at home.
1,000%.
And so it's since the conference play, it's really hard to find something that you don't like. And one of it, JJ's worst game was against BG. So really, it's difficult to pick something that you feel negative on. And this one was the penalties. I had to find something, and this was it. And really, they had 7 penalties, and I think 4 of them came in the fourth quarter because you had again, 3rd and 4th stringers in there. So some freshman mistakes. I'm not at all sweating it, but I had to write something down. That's what I wrote down.
Yeah, no, I was fishing. How we improve. JJ McCarthy.
Go ahead.
You're good. I have JJ McCarthy quarterback play, and it's just I don't even think this is a bold statement. My fandom started with Chad Henne, and I still think the world of Chad Henne. I thought he was great. Unfortunately, he couldn't beat Ohio State. But he set pretty much all the records at Michigan, single season passing, single season yardage, career passing. I think he even has the quarterback wins record, if I'm not mistaken. Set a ton of records. JJ McCarthy is playing the best football by the quarterback position that I've seen ever in my fandom at Michigan. It's so far and away better than everybody else has been. And that's how we keep getting better, not only today, but in the future, because other people will see that the Michigan is using the quarterback and they'll come here. This won't be the last 5-star quarterback that comes in here and slings it. And, JJ may just be a footnote in a couple of years. I think JJ is fantastic. And obviously I wasn't team JJ to begin. I was team Cade and let it play out. But, you said a couple weeks ago, I think there was another play in this game, if I'm not mistaken. There's just times where you see JJ make a play and you're like, oh, there's 0% chance Cade makes that play. And this isn't a dig at Cade. He's a different athlete. He's just that much more special. And that's just how I feel like we improve.
Yeah, I'm on the outside of that. I'm really just keep your head focused, your mind focused, and keep the goals and the tasks at hand, because of all the off-field issues that are, or you can say on-field issues that are going on at the moment. This team could be really. I think probably in previous Jim Harbaugh years, this team probably could get distracted and something could spiral out of control. But everyone seems to be on the bandwagon right now, and the culture is at an all-time high. Positivity is an all-time high. So just keep the goals in front of you. Beat Ohio State, win the conference, get in the college football playoff, and win the damn thing. And yeah, that's about where I'm at.
Yeah. Anything else on little brother getting their ass beat? Anything else?
I'll make this comment real quick. I thought it was really a good sign that Michigan didn't buy into the extracurricular activities in these. It's a chippy game. It's a rivalry game. There's a lot of emotion and the pushing and shoving. Michigan stayed out of it. Number 58 on Michigan State obviously got ejected, and Michigan isn't innocent. When the Taylor Lewan days, there was a lot of back and forth. Chase Winovich was a suspect in cleating somebody when he was here, but for the most part, Michigan has been staying out of it. And I thought what number 58 did to Braden McGregor was pretty atrocious. And if the team hasn't suspended him, whatever, I think that's something that needs to be talked about. Because if you guys didn't see the play, Braden McGregor, the defensive lineman, going up against number 58, or in the trenches somewhere, McGregor was laying on his stomach on the ground, and number 58, not even near the play, and takes his crown, his helmet, and lowers it and uses it as a weapon to the back of McGregor's head. So, it's pretty dangerous. And I made a comment on my show that, there's all kinds of different styles of helmets. And, the F7 helmet made by Schutt, which, if you guys don't know what the F7 helmet is, it's what Blake Corum wears, where you have a rectangular plate that goes down the center of the crown. And that one on the back of the neck kind of exposes that part a little bit more than what a Speed Flex is. And if you don't know what Speed Flex is, it's essentially what JJ wears. And so if Braden McGregor was wearing a different style helmet than what he was wearing, his neck was a little bit more exposed. you never know what could have transpired after that. So glad he's okay. I haven't heard anything about him being concussed or banged up or anything like that. But yeah, number 50, it's a bum for doing that.
Are you shocked that Michigan was as disciplined as they were?
No, I'm not. No, I'm just glad they didn't. They get involved in that, and they haven't even gotten involved with that. Last year with the Ohio State game, I remember that Ohio State game. That guy pushed the Michigan player with his helmet or maybe his hands or something like that, and Ryan Day's like, "Get him out of here." So they didn't get baited into that either. I think that the worst was Roman Wilson getting in a little tizzy with the Ohio State corner in the 2021 game at home, but to me, that's nothing.
Yeah, I think Michigan has been the most disciplined team on the field for the last 3 years. I mean, they really have. That's been something that they've kind of just turned around. I'll say something else too that's been on my mind lately. The 2021 team, towards the end of that season, I kind of started telling you, I was like, this team's just different. This team's different. And then midway through 2022, it was this team's the same. 2023, I'm ready to coin this one. This team's different. This team has a championship feel. This team feels like it is far and away better than those other teams. And that's no disrespect to those other teams because they accomplished a shit ton too. But it's just like, I understand the level of competition. Trust me, that's not lost on me. But do you know who number 10 North Carolina played this weekend? Virginia. They lost. Number 6 Oklahoma played UCF. They won by 2 points. Texas played Houston. They won by 7. There's a lot of very good college top 10, top 15, top 25 schools that are losing games.
I mean, down at halftime, 7-3, Washington's losing to 1-5 Arizona State. So, people can hate on the schedule all they want. Again, it's adjusted each week, but according to collegefootballreference.com, it was like 2 weeks ago, Georgia's strength of schedule was 115th and Michigan was 27th. It is a light years in difference, whatever. So if you want to hate on Michigan's strength of schedule, maybe they should be number 1. Maybe Georgia should be number 2. So it all doesn't really matter if you're in the top, 1 through 8 anyway, because the college football playoff rankings are going to be coming up. And so the 4 are going to be solidified to start anyways. But if you want to get down to the strength of schedule, man, you play who's on it. And, I think that I think Michigan could be just competitive in the SEC right now with this team than, as they've been the Big Ten. So is what it is.
Anything else before we talk about last week's games?
No.
A couple of games stand out. This one's probably the biggest in our area. Number 3 Ohio State beats number 7 Penn State. It's 20-10. The score was 10-6 at halftime. Nobody scores in the third quarter. Ohio State scores 10 in the fourth, and Penn State scores 6 in the fourth, and it's literally 20-12. They scored the exact same amount in the first half as they did the second half. Listen, I see this game 2 ways, and I'll let you kind of elaborate after. As long as I've been watching Ohio State, they've won one way, offensively, with elite quarterback play or so far elite running back play, or both in some cases. This team is super weird because they win with defense, and the only thing they have offensively is a superstar, and I mean absolute superstar wide receiver. That's really all they have. And I'm not digging at Ohio State here. By no means is that a dig. Penn State, I thought, honestly, could upset them. I considered betting it. I decided not to because I just couldn't trust Penn State to get the job done. And now I see why I didn't bet it, I do think that Penn State is a year away from being very good. A lot of their top talent, sophomores, juniors, you know? So I do think that Penn State next year might be filthy, getting Ohio State at home. Maybe it's a whiteout. Never know. But this year, Ohio State gets the best of them. And a lot of people are kind of like, I've heard so many people say, I just don't know what to think about Ohio State. Maybe it's okay that you win this way. You know? For years, Ohio State fans told us Michigan couldn't win this way, and then they did. Now, mind you, that was with more of a ground attack. That's not really what Ohio State does, but still, defense can kind of win you some games. Opinions on Ohio State, Penn State this game?
Yeah, like I said last week, we're going to learn a lot about where these teams are at when this is all said and done. And what I learned personally was I didn't think any of these teams were really above and beyond. Penn State goes into Columbus against a veteran level defense, and JT Tumalau is definitely a standout for the Buckeyes. But Drew Aller looks skittish. He was getting pressured quite a bit up the middle, so he had happy feet, had to move around a lot, and when his throws were on time, it seems like his guys were dropping them or not getting open. And Penn State's really suffering from not having a go-to wide receiver or tight end. The run game, I mean, they had to throw the ball because that's the run game was kind of mediocre. They used a two-back rotation, wasn't an X factor at all. So Penn State, I feel more confident going to Happy Valley to play those guys. Now with Ohio State, like I said, JT Tumalau stands out. And if Kyle McCord isn't targeting Marvin Harrison or Cade Stover, this offense isn't really that impressive to me either. Mecca Buka has been hit or miss from what I've seen. The run game, very inconsistent, or it's not used enough. This is like the second or third game this year where they rushed for less than 100 yards. And so down Hayden, Mine Williams, Travion Henderson, doesn't seem like whoever they got back there, I feel like they're slightly less productive compared to last year or the same. So, it seems like if you just double team Marvin Harrison or try to take him out of the game, then you got to worry about Cade. So I just don't. This isn't Ohio State's best team in recent years, and it shows. But I try to look at this as the best, unbiased as possible, and that's just where I'm at with them. Maserati Marv, as Gus Johnson said about a bajillion times during this game. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Florida State beats Duke, stays undefeated. Duke, unfortunately, Riley Leonard is kind of beat up, and they just kind of fell short in this game. They kept it close for a minute, was even leading at half, but not enough to get it done. Any comments on that?
No, not really. The spread was, I think, 14.5, and so Florida State covers.
Washington trails 7-3 at the half, like you just said, to Arizona State. They even are trailing 7-3 at the end of the third quarter, and it takes a pick six for them to take the lead. Opinions on Michael Penix, his Heisman candidacy, and number 5 Washington struggling at home with a 1-6 Arizona State.
Two Heisman quarterback hopefuls have faded into the mist after Saturday. Michael Penix is one of them, throws 2 picks. They win in ugly fashion. I think that Penix Jr. is probably out of the Heisman race right now. Yeah, just ugly. And it's at home again. It's, again, like I mentioned this game, like you mentioned the other ones. Can't, any given Sunday, right? You got to go out there and you got to win each week. And, I mean, they did win, but it was not pretty.
Number 6, Oklahoma, they take care of business, but it's only by 2 over a bad UCF team. Texas over Houston again over a bad Houston team. Both teams were 3-4. Oregon beats Washington, who's 4-3. They don't really struggle with them, but it is, 2 touchdowns. But here we go. Number 10, North Carolina, undefeated coming into this game. They lose to a 1-5 team. They're now 2-5, but they lose to a 1-5 Virginia, 31-27 at home. Like, what in the hell? With Drake May, one of the top projected picks in the draft. Tennessee blows a big lead to Alabama. Alabama wins by 2 scores. Brings us to Utah and USC. This one's a banger, back and forth, lots of scoring. Caleb Williams doesn't throw a touchdown on this. They lose to the Utes. Opinions?
Well, Caleb Williams is the other Heisman hopeful quarterback that's probably out of the running now. He has not beat Utah in 3 tries. So just kind of looked disoriented on the sideline after when the game was out of reach. But yeah, those two quarterbacks, I don't think that they're leading the front. And despite what's happening in Ann Arbor right now, JJ McCarthy is now the Heisman favorite at like plus 250. So yeah.
I normally wouldn't even bring this game up, but we were watching it at your house, and I was disgusted. Minnesota upsets Iowa, number 24 Iowa, on the road, 12-10. Now, if you score 10, you have no business winning a football game. So I'm not going to, die on this hill. But an absolutely disgusting call ends this game, where Iowa, the number 1 Big Ten returner specialist in the conference by a mile, he's been fantastic this year. He's the one bright spot on Iowa's team. We're watching this game. Our buddy kind of needs Iowa to win for a parlay at the time. And I'm like, well, he is the best returner. And dude houses a punt for what we project to be the win with very few seconds left. And and this is very common when you're watching somebody about to field the punt, a lot of times they direct traffic. They kind of give the hand, if you can see me on the camera, they give the hand motion, get out of the way, get out of the way. They said he called a fair catch. At no point does his hand go above his head. At no point does this even look like a fair catch. Because a fair catch, you would either go like this, it's kind of like the safe if you're playing baseball sign, or it's the wave above your head, like I'm clear in this. He never does that. He is very clearly pushing people away, like directing traffic. He catches this ball, makes dudes miss, takes it to the house, and they call it back. Absolutely horrendous call. I'm not a big referee stomper guy, but holy shit.
Yeah,
Opinions on this game?
Yeah, Iowa got hosed 100%. They got absolutely hosed on that, and it sucks, man, because that's one of those plays where it gets the whole crowd going. It's literally a walk-off play, and then boom, it gets called back. So yeah, horrible move by the Zebras there. That it sucks to be a Hawkeye fan. Minnesota caught a tremendously huge break there.
All right, let's talk next week's games, and then we'll talk about the burning topic. Deal?
Let's do it.
Florida State at Wake Forest. Florida State probably walks. They're favored by 3 scores. This one's interesting, though. Number 6, Oklahoma, travels to Kansas, who's 5-2. Kansas has been a weird bright spot in the Big 12 over the last couple of years. Is there any chance Kansas at home on Big Noon kickoff can upset Oklahoma?
Can't rule it out. If you're at home and barely get by Central Florida, there's a chance that Kansas, who's got probably a better offense, has a shot here. They're a 10-point favorite. The over under 65. Yeah, I can't rule it out.
5-2 Florida at the Swamp, hosting undefeated Georgia. Georgia on upset alert. They're favored by 14.5.
I don't know if they're on upset alert, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer than you think, because Georgia has won some games this year in kind of an above average fashion, and plus they don't have Brock Bowers anymore, their best offensive weapon. So on the road in the Swamp, and see, it's at 3:30. It's going to be a hostile environment. New quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't cover.
I just thought of this random question. What power returns to prominence first? The Hurricanes or the Gators? By prominence, I'm going to use prominence by saying they make the playoff first. First person to make the college football playoffs of those two teams.
I would probably, man, that's a good question. I'd make the argument for Miami because they are one of the few schools that are paying for players and they're getting good sized recruits because they're handing them the bag before they step on campus. But it's not translating in the field. And then Florida, they have a 10-win season and then they go back to 6 wins. It seems like, so, and then in the SEC, they're in a tougher conference.
Yeah.
Man, I'd probably go with Florida just because Miami has just been such a damn disappointment since Greg Olson was catching passes at tight end. So
Yeah.
I'm not by a long shot. This is nip tuck, but I'll go with Florida.
Number 8, Oregon travels to Utah. Utah seems to be the thorn in everybody's ass. Is Oregon getting upset at the Utes this weekend? This is actually so. The big noon kickoff game is Oklahoma at Kansas, but Gus, Jenny, and Klatt will be on the call on this one. So this is the big game of the day on Fox. It's Oregon at Utah. Where are you going here?
My gut is saying Utah, but man, I'm just barely Oregon here.
Where is okay, Utah. I was gonna say I have a feeling College Game Day is gonna be here. They are. So College Game Day is gonna be in Utah for this one. Oregon's favored. They feel like the better team. Utah doesn't have the quarterback play, but they just smother everybody. This one's going to be close, but I still like Oregon to win by at least 8 points. I don't know if they cover. It's going to be close. Duke Louisville feels like a throw. It is a ranked matchup. Opinions?
All I know is that Duke's 5-2, 2-1. They're 2-1 in the conference. Louisville's 3-1 in the conference. This is almost like a make or break it season for them to get to the ACC championship. So it's do or die. Yeah. I probably lean. I kind of like Duke here, but
if Riley Renner plays, Duke feels like the play. But Louisville at home was obviously even too much for Notre Dame. So
right.
I'll take Louisville, but it wouldn't surprise me if Riley Leonard played. He definitely is the option, the difference maker there. USC at Cal, you'd have to imagine they win this game. Washington at Stanford, you'd think they'd win that game. Ohio State at Camp Randall at night. Any chance?
No, I think Ohio State wins this one. I had it listed in my season preview when I was doing my my whole Big Ten conference thing. And I think it's been since 2010 since Wisconsin's won at home against Ohio State. So I'm pretty confident that the Buckeyes are going to win this one.
Colorado at UCLA. It's a fun matchup. Don't know that there's a ton of implications. Definitely a quarterback matchup. Dante Moore got hurt the last game. I don't know if he'll be back for this one or not. I'm not sure what his status is. But Colorado needs a win. They were upset. I actually like them to cover the 17. I don't know if they win, but I think this is a really good game, though.
Yeah, I think if Dante Moore plays, I think UCLA wins this one a little bit more convincingly. But if he doesn't play, man, this is anyone's game. But it's not going to be not going to be an easy one for the Buffs.
And then one more thing before we get into the main topic. I know someone like you who has been, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of throwing shade at College Game Day over the last couple of years, just said it's kind of a dying product. But I know that you've liked the addition of Pat McAfee, and you're like, it's a better watch because of it. I don't know if you've seen, he just recently tweeted at some people saying he doesn't know what his future is with College Game Day. He thinks this may be it. Opinions there?
Didn't see that, but
you did or did not?
I did not see that. It's not going to ruin my day. I'll always at least watch 10 minutes of College Game Day. It's just something that as soon as you wake up on a Saturday, you flip the TV on and that's what you set it at, right? But I guess would be kind of a sneaker in a way. I don't know. I'll be kind of indifferent, But like I said, I'll always turn it on. But I think again he's been, to some people annoying, but I think it's been a nice change of pace because it's a younger audience now that's watching it more so, and because I think that as much as we all love Lee Corso, I think he needs to just be ushered out completely. And then Pat McAfee. I thought Pollock I thought that was kind of shady and shitty that they got rid of him. I thought, even though he was an SEC annoying homer, but it was always nice to have another perspective there. But, Pat McAfee goes, stays, whatever. It is what it is. I just, probably the most thing I like about it is him doing the kick thing with the students.
Yeah.
With the field. That's a fun addition, yeah.
All right, it's time. I don't know how in depth we want to go. So Michigan is accused allegedly of sign stealing. And per the initial report that came out last week, there was a member on staff. I don't think we initially knew the name, or maybe we did know initially the name right away, but one member on staff was supposedly in-person scouting, which is against the rules. Okay, it being in person as a staff member at opposing games, future opponents, things like that. That is against the rules. Also is videotaping said things with, now there's like an underlying thing. It has to be with equipment and stuff like that. But regardless, so this comes out, and then there's an additional report that comes out after the fact. This came out yesterday. And that report, more in clear, basically says that this Connor Stallions, former Marine, who's been on Michigan staff only for about a year or so, had bought tickets to over 30 Big Ten games, 11 different teams he had seen play. Except the only issue that I always had with this was like, well, they have him on the sidelines of all these Michigan games. How is he in two places at once? That's the first thing I brought up. I was like, it is damn near impossible to see a game at noon at Michigan Stadium and to make it to any other game in the Big Ten by 7:30 outside of a Michigan State or Columbus or maybe Illinois. Like, you can't get to State College that quickly. Like, it felt impossible. Well, now I see why it was impossible, because he's not the one that actually attended the games. He had other people going to these games. I feel like there's so many different ways we can go about this story and dissect it. Before we go any farther, are there any things you want to fill into this story before we kind of give our opinions?
No, well, yeah, just it's annoying that just with the whole preseason, offseason issues with Hamburger Game with Jim Harbaugh not allowed to say anything. His attorney Tom Morris puts out a statement for him, but the NCAA can leak everything and shape the narrative. The narrative is already, no matter what if Michigan comes out of this unscathed, and everyone is got to be like, all right, well, that blew over. The stain that is going to be be pushed upon it from the other, it's just not going to stop. And so that's just the annoying thing, is that the NCAA can just poke and prod and do whatever they want. Pete Thamel, an Ohio State talking headpiece, is breaking all the news. So it's just put on a silver platter for Buckeye and Spartan fans to just take and run with it. We have to sit back, no matter who your fandom is, and wait really and look at it from a unbiased viewpoint at all the evidence. We don't have all the evidence. We're trying to speculate and put pieces together of an untold story. And just like with the Pat Fitzgerald thing, Pat Fitzgerald claimed that he had no knowledge of any of the hazing allegations whatsoever. And when he was suspended, then fired, he then put out a statement from his viewpoint, and then it seems like from me personally, after I read his response, it's like man, I don't know who to believe. You know, you got these players saying this has happened. Half the football team, nearly all the team currently, put out their response backing him up, and then you got what? So it's like, who do you believe out of that situation? Then you have the Mel Tucker thing. It's like Brenda Tracy said, "Oh, this happened," and then Mel Tucker said, "No, this is actually what happened. I have receipts." And then it's like, again, who do you believe in that situation? The only thing I say from that Mel Tucker thing is, it's like he kind of, I mean, obviously did to himself, but it's like that is just a situation, man, where risque written all over it. It's like, out of all the people that you can be affiliated with, I've said it before, it's like you can't tell someone who they can't be involved with or love or have feelings for. But Brendan Tracy, like that getting involved with her in a relationship when you're that high profile of a person, man, that's just walking a fine line that I don't want to be any a part of. So with this thing, man, it's just annoying that Twitter and Facebook and all these places is just running rampant with theories and speculations, and all these cyber sleuths or wannabe cyber sleuths are, doing their own investigating. They're, look at this play. This is the play that, that Connor Staley's on the sideline waving his hands, whatever, and then Ohio State called timeout. It's like, yeah, well, Ohio State scored literally on this play. Or they screenshot a laminate sheet of looks like our signals, whatever. I'm like, so what? That literally doesn't prove anything, So just take it and run with.
First off, I'm glad you mentioned that video that keeps surfacing. Two main points. A, first off, it shows him on the sideline where he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Thanks for proving my point.
Yeah.
View number 2, it is not illegal to steal signs. I think that's getting lost. It is not illegal to steal signs if you're listening to this. It's illegal to videotape signs, and it's illegal to self-scout in person. If you're on the sideline, you can steal signs. That is allowed. Okay? It is what it is. If I was talented enough watching a football game, I could steal signs watching on TV. Okay? The thing is like that video is going around. What do you want him to be doing? And I'll bring somebody else up here in a minute, but let's just say we're not the only ones doing that. But let me back up. I do want to say this. I have experience in this topic as a Patriot fan, okay? And truthfully, when the whole Spygate thing happened, I was really young. And my football fandom was really starting to kick off. I started watching the Patriots a lot in 2005, a ton in 2006, and then nonstop from 2007 on. In 2007 is when the Spygate thing really got broken up. It was during that undefeated season. And from then on, the Patriots were always kind of like, no matter what they did, they are cheaters. They're labeled as cheaters, okay? Well, Jim Harbaugh just had this cheeseburger / cancer patient recruitment video happen this past off season. And immediately after this comes out, it's going to be, I have a feeling this is going to be handled harshly, deservedly or not. Deflategate in the NFL, everybody remembers that, is normally a $10,000 fine. Does anybody remember what Tom Brady had to do? He had to serve 4 games, and they fined Robert Kraft $500,000. They fined him based off of what they thought the Patriots organization was. Harbaugh already served a 3-game suspension for Cheeseburger Gate. What's he gonna serve for this if they have any, and I mean any, evidence that he was with this? But I'm going to go right into this because we differ here. There have been no rules broken per these reports. 0 rules broken. Because the rule is very clear. A paid staff team member attending games. Connor Stallion, to my knowledge, they have no proof that he ever went to games. Matter of fact, they said the opposite. He bought the tickets in his name and distributed these tickets out. And it does sound like it's negligent, not negligent. What's the word I'm looking for? He is purposely cheating. Connor Stallion says he's trying to get an edge. And maybe he's aware of the rule. Maybe he's not. I don't know. Is he an overzealous employee that's trying to get a raise? I don't know. But I can tell you this. He technically didn't break a rule. It's extremely gray. As we're talking about this, I just got an update to this story.
Oh, God.
Michigan staff Connor Stallions bought tickets for games with the college football contenders. This is what we've been kind of waiting on because it only said the Big Ten. He bought tickets for games at 4 schools outside of the Big Ten that were either in college football playoffs or playoff contenders. Doesn't, as of right now, it does not say the it does not say which schools. But that literally just broke just now. But anyways, so what was I saying? Oh, it's a super gray area.
Yeah.
Is he cheating? I would venture to say he is. But I have a hard time saying that a $50,000 a year employee who technically did not break a rule, he's flirting with it. He damn sure flirting with it, okay? Is a reason to railroad a program that has had success. I'm sorry. And I listened to what Matt Rule had to say. I listened to what J.J. Watt had to say, RG3, Deion Sanders, Joel Klatt, Colin Cowherd. The only people that seem to have any issue with this were scarlet and gray or green and white. I've yet to hear not one other team say, I have an issue with this.
That's true.
Not one other. Show me any other example. Bring it to my attention. If you don't wear green and white or scarlet and gray, show me somebody else that's like, yeah, Michigans are some punks. Even Rutgers came out and said the videotape that's surfacing at halftime, that one that was immediately pointed to, that was directed at the referees.
Yeah.
Even they were like, we want no part in this. Somebody's a whistleblower, Ryan Day. Okay? Somebody had brought this to Pete Thamel's attention.
Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, it was a week before this story got broke on Friday. It was circulating on Ohio State message boards. So it's coming from Ohio State. Ryan Day has already been on record claiming Clemson and Georgia did, Georgia was videotaping practices and Clemson was stealing signals. Again, sign stealing is not illegal. The obviously illegal part is attending games of future opponents on that schedule. Now, again, Connor Stallions is on the sidelines for every Michigan home and away game. So he is apparently dispatching his quote unquote, what was originally reported as vast network to these other games, allegedly on the 45 to 50 yard line, high up so you can see both sidelines, sometimes purchasing tickets for both sides during the same one. So, I speculated that. So was he got one guy at the game and he goes from one half to the other during the different quarters, halftime? I don't know. The problem I have with this is, did Jim Harbaugh or somebody on the staff deploy this and have this formula for setting this up? Or can we scrutinize Jim for not having control of his program and letting this thing run wild? That is my issues. And that's what I said on my show. I said, if Jim Harbaugh knew, that means all of what he stands for is full of shit. And I will walk away from Michigan football. And I say that honestly because to me, I'll feel as a fan cheated. I feel like everything that I have built memories on everything that I've rooted for these recent years, just really since he's been here, has been full of shit because I don't know. That's just me personally. Now, the questions I have about this whole thing is, again, this guy's making $55,000 a year. He's using his personal credit card. If he's trying to hide it, he's doing a damn shitty job of it. And 30 games, I mean, 45, 50-yard line, that's pretty pricey. Especially when you go into what you just said here, SEC title games. That is not including travel. So who's funding this? Like, unless he's got immaculate credit or if he's got a huge 401k that he built from the Marine Corps, I don't know how is this being funded. Another thing that I thought was really interesting was one of these Big Ten teams bitching and moaning, saying they have stadium video surveillance of somebody in these seats holding up a phone, videotaping signals. Now, let's just say it's Ohio State, right? They have 107,000 seats. There's not like a camera is hanging over each row's head. You got the wall, like 100 rows up. How can a camera that far away pinpoint where this dude's sitting and out of amongst all these people and literally just be like, oh, for like 5 minutes and 27 seconds, he had this phone up there, blah, blah, videotaping it. Everyone's got their phones out. I go to Michigan games, I got my phone out. I put it on Snapchat when I'm waiting for a play, hopefully catching a touchdown on camera. So to me, that thing is mind-boggling to me. Is how stadium surveillance, but again, I'm not willing to call everyone cheaters here like Ohio State and Spartan fans are. I know, Jared Reddick was, going scum, and friends on my Facebook that are Ohio State fans are, chiming in and having their la-di-do time. But, if just like with the NFL drug policy, if you drug test every NFL team tonight, everyone had to come into the arena and piss, there would be no league tomorrow. Just like I think with this, everyone is sign stealing, again, not illegal, but we don't know how far this goes for each program. We don't know what other teams go through lengths to do. Miami Hurricanes, had a booster that were bringing recruits on a yacht, doing blow and hanging out with strippers. So no one's clean. I'm not trying to deflect here, but I don't know, man. It's just let's wait till everything plays out and see what happens. Apparently, Connor Stallions had two tickets for the Penn State Ohio State game. Obviously, didn't attend, and they weren't used. So yeah, we'll see. But again, like I said, if Jim Harbaugh knew, we're gonna have a big problem. And if it did get into the highest of severity, what's the reasonable punishment here? Because he's the king of the castle. He's supposed to have control of his program.
So I want to make something clear, and I want to kind of get some clarity of what you said. So if it turns out that Harbaugh was aware that his assistant was exploiting a gray area, buying tickets and sending non-staff to these games, you have an issue with it.
Yeah, because that's against the rules. Scouting teams in person that are on your schedule is illegal. It's against the rules. And Jim Harbaugh, again,
it's against the rules with staff.
Correct, but again, if he's got someone on staff, and that staff member is deploying other people to go and do the dirty work for them, I still find that nefarious.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, I agree. I do think it's a gray area. I think it is a loophole, and I think there are so many loopholes that teams try to exploit until they're caught. I'll bring up another thing because this has been getting brought up. Urban Meyer admitted a couple of years back to having a guy on his staff that did nothing but watch Michigan.
Yeah.
That was his sole job.
Yeah.
To keep nonstop tabs on Michigan. And nobody really called into question what that entailed. You never know. You never know. There's this guy's name that keeps getting brought up on Twitter as of today. His name's Brett Zabiskie. But when I look up his bio, he really just got to Ohio State in 2021. So this wasn't Urban's guy. I'm not really sure why everybody keeps bringing this guy up. But overall, I don't really know what to think. But there was a guy that Urban Meyer literally appointed to do nothing but watch Michigan. So I do think that this happens a lot. And I think there's a reason why more coaches haven't come out and basically shamed it. Because they don't want their credibility called into question. You know?
Yeah.
I think there's an absolute reason even Ryan Day hasn't spoken up. Okay? I don't think anybody wants ties to this story. Because at the end of the day, I think you'll find, like, Michigan's kind of being railroaded over this. And obviously, Jim Harbaugh pissed somebody off at the NCAA. But I'm going to need some evidence. Because even a paper trail isn't going to do it for me. Like, I'm going to need some legit evidence that Jim Harbaugh appointed these dudes.
Mm.
You know? Because, again, stealing signs isn't illegal. It's the process of how you do it. If you're filming them, if you are sending staff and using technology. And by the way, iPhones isn't even included in this technology. It's actually like video cameras and stuff like that. So, like, I'm sorry. Me and you have both sat nosebleed at stadiums before. You ever try filming a sideline with a freaking iPhone? iPhone's got a kick-ass camera. You ain't getting great clarity. This whole thing just seems we're missing stuff in this story. That's why I try not to get all looped up. It's just like, as of right now, there's been no rule broken. Okay? It's super gray, and it's definitely doesn't seem good. But I brought this up a couple weeks back to you, and you kind of agreed. I wonder if you do now. Would you rather be dog shit and out of the news, or champagne problems, buddy, where we're destroying everybody and they got to find something? Where are you at on that?
As long as the last page of the book that says the end doesn't have an asterisk next to it, I'm all for it. You know, I just, I just, as long as at the end of the day it doesn't get taken from them, from Michigan, I'm all about it. You know, flirting with bad press, it stresses me out, and I'm just an average Joe in my basement right now filming a podcast. You know, and so again, as long as this team continues to go out there and show on the field what they've been doing, whatever, I think that they'll let's say ease things, whatever. But it's just we're essentially, we have a FBI CIA document that's half of it's redacted with blacked out lines and Sharpie, and we're trying to read everything line for line, and we just don't have everything. So again, my biggest questions is, like, how can, like, who's funding this? Who's going to these games? Who's paying for, like, the travel, all this stuff? It's interesting. You know, Deion Sanders, said that he's like, you still got to go out and execute. In Michigan, you know, they've lost games. They've won games by the, seat of their pants. So it's like, if it's not a foolproof system, if that's what they're being shamed for. But buying tickets isn't illegal. But I think the smoking gun here, if there's any, would be Stallion's computer. If there's anything communication there, phone calls, text messages. Someone found him on Venmo and saw a payment to this one kid that said GA on it. So we're like, oh, it's Georgia. So I don't know. But again, it's bothering me because we've waited for so long to be on top of the mountain here, and we're still getting there. We don't got to win the national championship, but it's like we're gonna get all the way there, and then something like stupid shit like this is gonna tear us down, and that just that drives me nuts.
Again, I think it only tears you down if hardball is directly involved. If hardball's not, in my opinion, nothing happens. I don't think there's any way there's games taken away or vacated, wins or vacated. This doesn't feel like that. This feels very like this. You know what this feels like? Somebody's getting fined, and next year there's going to be green dots on every helmet. Michigan might just help fix college football. I mean, truthfully, because even Brady Quinn, a Notre Dame guy, was defending it today and basically saying, like, get some damn green stickers on some helmets. You don't have to worry about this shit. Like, this is old news. Stealing signs is what people do.
And Matt Rule said it too, is like, high school, there's headsets in the helmet. Pro, there's headsets in the college. We use signs with rock stars' faces on them. So, put a headset in the helmet, you alleviate this problem. And like I said when we were breaking down Michigan State, I'm just glad they beat them 49-0 because Kane Hauser was strolling over there again for each call on the sideline, and Michigan still dominated their asses anyways. So I'm glad that monkey was never on their back for that. But yeah, man, I don't want this. I don't want the last 3 years to be not real. And that's just what I'm worried about.
Yeah. Well, Michigan's on a bye next week. After that, there's a Big Ten title match rematch. Michigan against Purdue, another night game. Michigan's been playing a lot at night, a lot of primetime ratings. And then after that, me and you will be heading to Happy Valley. So lots of season left. Goals haven't been completely reached, but this team is 7-0 or 8-0. Yeah, they're 8-0.
Yep.
We'll take it. So, anything else?
Nope. Literally got the month of November, and then hopefully we're going to be talking Indianapolis. But this week, we obviously had that update about an hour ago from Pete Famel about getting tickets out of Big Ten conference games. It's just going to be what happens by Friday, because apparently there's supposed to be some more updates as we go along, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Someone in the NCAA hates Jim Harbaugh. That is 100% somebody. And another person that obviously has got a problem is Ryan Day. Another Big Ten school, which we still don't know yet. And my other suspicion is probably James Franklin. It's someone who's a little bit salty. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if somebody wants to find me somebody outside of Scarlet and Gray or Green and White that gives a shit about this story, send it my way. So, or Reese Davis, because fuck that guy too. So, all right, we're out. Go Blue.
Go Blue.